Arizona, top to bottom, had to have been the best storyline in college football of 2023, especially when looking at where this roster was just 3 seasons ago when Jedd Fisch touched down in Tucson. But nobody cares about that. It's always about building for tomorrow, a brighter future, filled with conference championships and college football playoff appearances. And for the most part, the Wildcats' future was murky after Jedd Fisch decided to replace Kalen DeBoer at Washington, especially when looking at the roster construction. But Arizona fans got the news that they were looking for as Tetairoa McMillan and Noah Fifita announced this past weekend they ain't going anywhere. They're sticking around for the Wildcats in 2024. So what does the future of Arizona football look like in a brand new conference? What does this mean for T-Mac and for Fifita's draft stock in the future? And are the Wildcats actually still a contender to make it to the college football playoff? Let's go ahead and discuss. But if you are new here, welcome on into the channel, people. I know there's no banner up, but I am Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. Yes, the clock has struck zero on 2023, but this offseason is made for you, the loyal fans of college football, and I'm just here to keep you entertained. So we'll be recapping 2023, a look ahead at 2024, and a bunch of other nonsense mixed in between. So this is the daily dose of college football you need to survive the dreaded offseason. Might suggest you smash that subscribe button down below. Leave a comment telling me your thoughts on T-Mac and Fifita running it back in Tucson for 2024. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, Big 12 faithful, Arizona fans, and college football aficionados everywhere about this channel, because we're on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. Go ahead and follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson, Twitter, Instagram, X, whatever you want to call the platforms. But that way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. This is the ultimate Leonardo DiCaprio, Wolf of Wall Street, Jordan Belfort, I'm not leaving type of moment, because you know what this impact means. Noah Fifita was a no-name coming out this past season. Nobody had any inclination that he was going to come in and be a difference maker. In fact, a lot of people thought when they lost Jayden de Laura, they lost the season. Everything was going to go off the rails, and it wasn't going to be a bright tomorrow in Tucson. Lo and behold, he actually had the better quarterback waiting in the wings, and the second that he touched on the field, he made a difference, whether that be short passes to Jacob Cowing or deep shots downfield to T-Mac or constantly finding ways to keep the offense humming at the right time. All of it was at your disposal, and now he's coming back. And he also is bringing in the best Robin in the game with a guy like T-Mac. This was a wide receiver that's not going to garner the same amount of attention as some of the big-time names, like a Malik Neighbors or a Roma Dunze or a Marvin Harrison Jr., simply because of where they played. This was a team that was good, but was never in contention to actually be a college football playoff roster. Just a team that was going through the motions and putting up quality numbers every single week. So it kind of gets lost in translation how dominant of a season T-Mac had. #2 in the Pac-12 in receiving yards, top 5 in receiving touchdowns, top 5 in targets. Oh, and he was also splitting reps with Jacob Cowing, another viable receiver who won't be back next season, but he was a reason why your team got to double-digit victories. This is the ultimate win for Arizona fans, because everything that you saw last season underneath Jedd Fisch basically is returning. Yes, you lose Jonah Coleman to the transfer portal, and naturally he is going up to Washington, but there are going to be some names leaving San Jose State, and new head coach Brent Brennan, I'm pretty sure he has a decent relationship with them. One of their running backs just entered the portal. I can almost guarantee we know where he's landing, and he put up similar productions of Coleman. So if he can emulate that in a brand new conference, well, there you go. Wash, rinse, repeat. 10 wins is right on the table, and 10 wins is enough to say that you could fight for a spot in Arlington. When you look at the Big 12 next year, there is going to be a mass exodus of expectations and a lot of differing opinions around the industry, because we knew what Texas was. We knew what Oklahoma was. And every once in a blue moon, we'll see the Baylors show out or the TCU show out or Oklahoma State will run the table. But we never really wonder who was going to be the face of the Big 12. Everyone knew it was the 2 flagship programs. Well, this is a new era of college football. Not just in terms of existential crisis when it comes to extra teams being added to the college football playoff, the dissolvement of one entire conference, but also it's a brand new era for new teams to be able to prove that they are the pioneers. They are the focal point, and they are the flagship programs of a conference. And absolutely, Arizona can be in that conversation, especially with what they have returning on both sides of the football. Jacob Manu, one of your leading tacklers, not going anywhere. T-Mac, not going anywhere. Fifita, going to be a favorite to win the Heisman in 2024, not going anywhere. So while the process is changing in terms of coaches and personnels, the overall roster is basically staying intact, which that means everything that you thought was on the table when Jedd Fisch was your coach is still there, just with Brent Brennan. That's all it is. It's a change of leadership, but not a change of direction. You're still steering the car. Think of it this way. You go to a gas station and you're switching spots. And now the person that was sitting shotgun is actually driving the car. You're still getting to the end of your destination and everyone is still intact. You're just making a switch of who's the one driving. Who's driving the ship now is Brent Brennan, not Jedd Fisch. He'll be running his own program up in the Big Ten with the Huskies. But Brennan's a good coach. And if he can get the same type of play out of T-Mac, out of Fifita, and out of this entire roster that looks still very much resounding and seriously a contender to win a conference title next year, what changes? Honestly, what changes in the eyes of Arizona faithful? That you're not going to have Coleman back there running the football? But what if you find a running back that's just as potent, able to move the sticks, able to find his way into the red zone and put up points? Isn't that enough for you to say that you've done your job? What if T-Mac has 1,400 receiving yards, and even though you don't have a Jacob Cowing 2.0, you have two other receivers finished with 500 yards or 600 yards and 7 touchdowns apiece? Anything really change? Your persona really change? Your offensive identity really change? No, it's all the same. So you look at where Arizona is, they should be the front runners or a front runner to win the Big 12. And in fact, you can make an argument that when you look at the Big 12 in general, there's only one team that stands in their way, and it's a team that Arizona knows pretty damn well because it's Utah. Utah's always going to be good so long as Kyle Whittingham is running the show in Salt Lake City. And they also have a veteran quarterback returning in Cam Rising for, I don't know, what is this, his 45th year of college football. So he's already basically proven at this point he can sling it around the yard, but Arizona's just as good offensively. Arizona's actually better offensively, and they're almost as good defensively. And so if you're able to bring that element over to a brand new conference with a lot of upside and intrigue and not a lot of answers, why do you feel like you are not going to be viewed as a contender? I love this Arizona team, and I was heartbroken for Wildcat fans, especially for those who have joined the channel in the last several months, because I love watching when good teams actually are able to rebuild and restructure themselves. And Arizona's a good team. They're not a great team, but they are a good team, and a good team on the come up, which could lead to great, and then excellent, and then elite. And once you get to that elite level, you're able to do things that are of magic. You're able to do things of wonder, shock, and awe, and even your fan base is a little bit perplexed about what occurred. But the thing that I really appreciate about this Arizona roster, you look top to bottom. They basically are built like Michigan. Not exactly in terms of winning a national title, but did you know something about Michigan? 6 games this past year, they did not have their head coach at the helm. Jim Harbaugh was suspended internally and then externally, and they had to go into battle for half the season without their leader at the helm. You know what they did? They acted like discipline. They acted like men. They acted like people who understood the assignment and were perplexed to think that anybody was going to get in their way. They kind of scoffed at the idea, thinking that other teams were going to be able to take them down. Because the locker room, the persona, the presence of what this team was the last several years was building for this moment. We just need a babysitter leading the charge. We'll take over the show. That's the main goal. And Arizona, based off the and by T-Mac, they're doing the same thing. They're saying it's great that our head coach decided to go ahead and leave us in the middle of the night and take a job out in the Big Ten. But we're not going anywhere. We don't need a head coach. We are good enough as a roster to be able to contain ourselves, execute properly on Saturdays for 4 quarters, and eventually claim victory. That's what we're going to do, and we're going to show everybody in college football that we can in a brand new conference. That's the leadership in the locker room persona that's presented by championship caliber teams. And now that you have that imagery coming back with your 2 leaders on offense, that's the tone that's going to be set in the Big 12. It's great for Arizona. And Wildcat fans everywhere should be euphorically praising T-Mac and Fifita's name. This is going to be a combination that is lethal in the Big 12, but it's lethal on national levels. People are going to know these 2 names at a global standard. And maybe that's enough for in year 1, you seeing yourself land at Arlington. Win there, you're guaranteed a college football playoff spot and a first-round bye. So make no mistake, adding in T-Mac and Fifita was always an expectation and a hopeful reality. Now that it has actually become a proven commodity, bright days ahead in Tucson. Maybe even brighter than the gloomy dark days that are hitting Jetfish in Seattle.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.